This is Charlie Yoder from the Professional Inline Hockey Association, and this is the Ratcast.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ratcast, show number 8 of the 2024-25 season. I'm Dave Gardner, alongside of Anthony Flynn. Flinner, with all those cool jerseys behind you over there. You got a cornucopia of jerseys behind you.
Can you spell that?
No. But anyway, I want to welcome everybody here to episode 8. And Flynn, another terrific intro. And I got to say, heavy metal is just the ultimate music for any kind of intro anywhere, like car commercials, intros for this. I mean, anytime they put on something that's not heavy metal, it doesn't have that impact. So good choice of music there. They get me pumped up for the show. Yeah,
I was just trying to lift you up and get an A performance for show number 8.
I am. Now, I brought my hat in case I needed it today. So I don't know if the World Series is still going on, but I brought my hat because the last time we talked, I think they were still playing ball, right?
They were. So, but that leads us into we missed a show last week, and we've kind of mentioned before that sometimes the schedules just don't jive. And we were ready. We had guests lined up, and we had a time slot, but just didn't work out with the schedules last week.
Yeah, apologies. The last week I got a last minute junior game called into. Flynn was getting his hair done. And we were supposed to go that Wednesday night, and something else happened too. So we just, we're crossing text messages and the whole bit. It didn't work out. So we're back this week. So we have a couple of weeks to talk about here.
And Dave, I had a great intro lined up for last week. So what I did, because it was timely based upon the events of last week, I threw it on at the end of the show. So the outro today will be last week's intro. It didn't make sense to start the show with it, but we'll leave that one for the end. But
all right, I can't wait to see it because I'm in the dark like the rest of you. So, but anyway, here in episode 8, we're gonna have a weekend recap from last weekend from ISCA, also a weekend recap from the Marple Sports Arena. We got some terrific guests coming on this week, and then we'll recap this weekend's games in the Rocky Mountain Division. And Flynn was telling me that there were some unbelievable games going on. Then we'll also have we'll talk about what we're going to talk about next week. We'll have that video Flynn is promising on the outro and all kinds of other goodies here. Oh, should we kick off with the stats here? We were talking about that. Let's talk about the stats and how you fixed them.
Yes. So we had talked about that during the last show. So if you're
up one of those frames there with the stats, we can follow along.
Yeah, I think I can actually.
Because when the last time we checked the stats, there was something kind of funky about it. And then you finally fixed them here. So now we have, tell us what we have here.
Well, actually, let me pull to this one because this was the stat that was incorrect. So what we remember is that in PIHA, we do a 3-point system, right? 3 points for a regulation win, 2 points for either a shootout or overtime win, and 1 point for an overtime or shootout loss. So we dug back into it. In fact, big thank you to Mike Farinelli. He's obviously a loyal watcher. He hit me up as soon as the show was over and said, hey, because they use Hockey Shift out there at Fraser. And he had said, hey, we had this issue too. And we went digging around in the back end and we figured it out. So not only did we fix the issue, but we realigned the way you're going to look at the standings. So now we got rid of the win column altogether. So everyone who won, you lose them all. Now, what really happens is now when you look at the standings here, you'll see that we have RW, which stands for a regulation win, OTW, which is obviously an overtime win, and then this SOW, which is shootout win, also there as well. Now, even though you're getting the same amount of points for the OTW and the SOW, what we found was that they weren't counting points for shootout wins unless you listed that column. So it just made sense to me that, hey, we load them all out there, got rid of the win column, because the win column was also showing that you won in overtime, so it was a little confusing.
I kind of like this here because it shows you like the regulation wins, and then it splits out the overtime and the shootout wins, just to give you an idea. And I know the shootout wins and the overtime wins, they're basically the same point-wise, but it still is neat to see, which games were decided in overtime and which would have to go to the shootout.
And point of fact here, the system doesn't allow for a shootout loss column, but for some particular reason, the OT does in fact merge anything that you lose in overtime or shootout, which is what we were assuming the OTW did, and it didn't. And the second we added the shootout win, you'll see now that I believe it was the Sting were only showing maybe 22 points last week. And then once we added that shootout win column, it gave them that extra point from the game that they beat I believe it was the Snipers in a shootout.
So the L here, that is regulation loss only, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Regulation loss, correct. Do you need me to pull that back up?
Yeah. And so anything under the OT, that would be that meant you get to overtime and you did not win the game or a shootout.
Or a shootout loss. Yeah, that's. I mean, again, that's a little confusing, but at least we know now that everything is populating right, and you could figure that out, right? So, the math adds up when you go across the column and you say, hey, 7-1, that's 8. 5, 2, and 1 for the Snipers, that's 8. So everything is now kind of jiving there.
Yeah, no, I do like that. Okay. All right, so we get that fixed there. So that's one thing off our list that we need to go over today, but I'm glad that is fixed. And see, where else are we going to go now here? What do we do first? You want to go check out some games from a couple weeks ago?
No, let's start this past weekend. We had a semi-pro event in Isca. That took place this weekend. We had a very late weekend here in the East Coast. All the action was kind of out west this weekend. But we just had the one 5-team event up at Isca. This was for all 4 teams from the Mid-Atlantic Division, plus the Champion Impact. I got I did it. I did the wrong hand. Being backwards on air. I got my Impact jersey back here. They met at Isca for a festival, and what I found particularly interesting about this event was this was a division that really looked like it was kind of going to be a runaway. After the first weekend, it looked like, oh boy, the legends. These guys are in complete and total control of that division. The Whip seemed like they were the number 2 there. They started out great, and then it looked like the first couple of festivals, when they got to the 3rd and 4th game, they were struggling a little bit. Those guys, I don't want to call them long in the tooth, but they're certainly not the youngest team in the division, but certainly formidable. We got a lot of great players on that squad. So after the first 2 events, those 2 teams really seemed to be in the driver's seat. The Pandas looked like they were kind of overwhelmed at the first couple events. They were just not ready for the speed or the competition level as they were making the jump from the minor division. But to their credit, they had pieces missing each time. And then you could say the same thing about the Lightning. The Revolt Lightning really struggled the first 2 weekends, and then just had this past weekend just had an absolutely amazing weekend. I believe the Lightning went 3-1. Their one loss to the Trash Pandas, who won every game this weekend. So it was crazy to see. And as we look at the standings here, this, of course, first is the Metropolitan Division, which I included because the Impact also had a decent weekend there and now kind of sit just below 500 in their division. But in this Atlantic Division, which I think I was calling during our meeting before the show, I called the Logjam Division. I mean, now this is a complete coin flip. Who wins this one now? 2 events to go. And these teams are really locked up for who could win this division. So it's
we were talking about that over the last few shows, as who shows up and who can make the trip and who can make the games, and that makes a big difference in what happened here. And you were saying that there were some teams that had some different players show up finally.
Yeah,
and here we are.
Well, and the Morristown team, again, we talked about this team was kind of grown out of the ashes of the Grizzlies. And they had 2 really big pickups in Chris Wolf and Robbie Fulton, longtime pro players. Again, they're not the youngest guys anymore, but roller hockey on its face gets older every year. Because there's less and less young guys every year, and it just keeps the vets around longer and longer and longer. I mean, like I said, the New York Whip. Their average age probably has to be in the low 40s. They definitely have a couple guys over 50 in that division, and they certainly handle themselves out there. Same thing here. I mean, Robbie Fulton and Chris Wolf, neither made the first weekend, and they really struggled. Second weekend, I think only Robbie was there, and I don't even know if he was there for all the games. And now this weekend they have them both, and they almost go 4-0. They go 3-1, and I'm not just trying to say those are the only guys because I don't know how to say his last name, but Billy Capone, that guy. He scored like a trillion goals this weekend. I kept looking at the score sheets, and it was like, this guy must have scored 4 or 5 goals, twice in 2 games. So they had themselves a really good weekend, and it's this obviously being the one division where everyone's going to make the playoffs, but really it's almost fitting that this is the one that it's like that because right now it's such a logjam, and they all really, anybody could beat anybody. So it could be, hey, when these teams come to Marple to play the Keystone teams, it's going to be about who travels. When they play one more, they're going to play each other one more time. It's going to be, who shows up, as far as who's going to end up in that 1 seed. And so we definitely keep an eye on this division because, I could, and I won't say it publicly, but I definitely have my feelings on, the handful of teams in each division that really will probably represent their respective divisions.
Mm-hmm.
Anything can happen. But in this one, I wouldn't wager 25 cents on it.
Now, do you have the streaks on here? At the right after the differential, there was a streak. I don't know if you can read those or not, but it tells you how the teams were doing.
Yes.
And
yeah. And I cut that off.
They were flip flopping,
Yeah, I cut that off just so it fits the screen right. But for sure, you'll see that Morristown now in their streak is 4-4-2. Where the Whip is 2-6-2. The Trash Pandas same 4-4-2. And if we would have looked at that, after the last event, there would have been some real low numbers in that first column. So they've done a very good job, these teams.
Yeah, I'm looking over here. It was the Trash Pandas won 4, and the Lightning won at the bottom 1-2, and the Whip with 2 OT losses, and the top team lost 1. So so you can see it's the things are definitely tightening up.
Yeah, it's certainly a division we got to keep our eyes on. And and getting back to the Metro, these other teams now, the Sting, the Snipers, Rebellion, and Blazers, certainly they'll have an extra event. I think those 4 teams meet later in the season at Rapid Fire at our last event there. They'll catch up to the 12. But certainly, we've always had this parity in the semi-pro division, and it's great to see once again. So,
Yep, I like that.
So, as we continue to talk about things, last week we obviously didn't have a show, so we didn't get a chance to talk about the Big Pro Festival, and leading the show before that, and I tried to hype up this event because this really was the one event all season long, Dave, where we were going to have all 6 pro teams on the East Coast together, plus the addition of the Naples Kaos coming in. And they came in, boy, did they travel well. I think they had at least like 10 people and a goalie. They had a lot of big roller hockey names on the roster. And it really was great to see. Same thing with Michigan. They traveled really well. The addition of Matt O'Shaughnessy to their roster made them even more formidable. I really thought the only person of any major note that really seemed to be missing this weekend was PJ DiMartino from the Sting, but they got a whole ton of reinforcements that weren't with them in Michigan, so they were strong too, even though both Sting teams only played on Saturday for this weekend. So, but great event. Want to do a quick shout out to Suffolk's Photography. They were there and did an amazing job covering the event that day. You right on the front page, if you click into our PIHA photo gallery, you'll be able to see all those pictures. Here's a couple of examples of those pictures. So it really was an incredible weekend of hockey. Like I said, Inferno had a great Saturday. Struggled a little bit on Sunday. The Few and the Gladiators didn't have great weekends, but they didn't get swept or anything like that. They were definitely in a lot of games. Stole a couple games, and I just say right off the bat, the very first game of the day, we had the Kaos versus the Sting, and it went to overtime. In fact, I think they went to 2 overtimes. Those 2 teams this weekend, as well. I believe the Sting and Inferno may have gone to overtime, and I think the Inferno stole that one. So. Really great weekend. Big winners for that weekend, probably, I would have to say the Inferno did themselves, a big win over the Sting. But the Michigan Fury coming all the way out from Michigan, as well represented as they were, I think they went 5-1 on the weekend, and now they sit firmly up in first place in the East Coast Division. Had a great opportunity to see John Schiavo this weekend. He's coming down from Minnesota. We could talk to him a little bit, tell us a little bit about where his career is now. I think he's stopped playing ice hockey professionally and dived back into PIHA immediately. So we'd love to have him back in the league. And we've got him ready to come in and talk. Dave, I know it's been probably at least 10 years since you talked to John. So let's bring him in. Let's bring him in here.
How's it going, guys?
Hey, John. How are you, buddy?
What do you say, Johnny?
Great. Good to see you both today.
I think the last time Flynn and I was broadcasting one of his roller hockey games, and I was calling him Johnny Schiavo.
Well,
and all weekend long. And then finally, I don't know if it was a relative of his or an ex-girlfriend, somebody got a hold of me and says, no, that's not how you say his name. So eventually I got it right.
No, it is how you say his name.
It is how I say it. It's how we say it up here in Boston.
So, John, you've been a busy guy even since we saw you a week ago. I think you were in France this past weekend, right?
Yeah.
So he's a busy guy. He's getting around. Traveling a bunch. Came in to play with the Kaos here with us at Marple 2 weekends ago, and I think he was out in France playing. Is that a little guest spot, or are you gonna keep making trips out there to play with those guys?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep making some trips. Excited to get the first one under my belt. It was super exciting to obviously play the weekend before and get both roller weekends back to back. I haven't done that in many years since I was a younger kid. I think probably around 18 was the last time I got to play in this time of the year because of the ice hockey season. So it's been fun transitioning back to playing roller this time of year, and obviously love playing roller all the time.
Johnny, are there any big differences with the game itself when you're playing out in France compared to over here in the States?
Yeah, definitely some differences. The rink size is one of them for sure. And right behind that is the net size. The net is obviously shorter and stubbier with like really thick posts. So it's interesting. We played on those.
Is it 3.5 instead of 4 or something like that? Or
I'm not exactly sure of the dimension, but I know in the World Championships that was like the first time I got to play on them. So it was funny going back, obviously after the PIHA weekend, and that was the biggest thing on my mind, as well as around the rink there's just netting instead of glass, and you play it off the netting. But the quality of hockey was excellent. Playing on a brand new steel mat floor there, puck is the same, things like that. Maybe communicating with your teammates is a little bit interesting, but for me, what an experience. I loved getting to go back. Hadn't been there in over 12 years, I believe. So go back and do that was awesome. Back-to-back roller weekends was really exciting.
nice. Do you find yourself shooting like just over the crossbar because it is a little shorter?
It's funny. I'm here in my gym in Minnesota where we train on wheels, and I was taping in my net a line a little bit shorter to shoot under the line. So I prepared myself well. I feel like when I got out there, I didn't miss too many over the net. But I think the preparation and that helped for sure.
Must help the goalies. They must love less net.
For sure. For sure they do.
Well, Johnny, so let's talk a little bit about how you ended up with Vinny Cafone's group there, the Kaos. Obviously, we told this story. Once the season got put together and we announced the start of the Southeast Division, I guess word spread, and all of a sudden we just got this random message from Vinny saying, hey, I think I have a team I want to put in. How'd you get hooked up with those guys?
Well, just Tyler Kraft, obviously, being my line mate for so many years and really good friend. He was the one that obviously shot me a text and heard from Vinny. Obviously, we go way back as well. And they're like, hey, we're building this thing. What do you think? And I was like, as long as the days work out. I have a job that starts tomorrow, actually. Still can't really say much about it, but it's a huge opportunity for me transitioning out of playing as much where roller hockey doesn't conflict as badly. Obviously, only a couple weekends. I could travel in and out, do all those things, and still play. where ice hockey, obviously, there's no breaks, no time to play any roller. So once Tyler and Vinny reached out, obviously we know a ton of faces, play with a ton of guys, and then the ball just kept rolling. I was super excited to play again. Super pumped to hear that they were starting a team, as well as Kelly, my wife's family's in Naples. So I get to know a lot of the kids that play on the Kaos. They go to other tournaments. I meet them, see them around and train. Some of them actually did a camp prior to that weekend in Marple down for the Naples kids. So it's just a cool connection. Another way to grow our brand and grow what we're doing on the training side, and playing with them sounded like a no-brainer being with Tyler. So it was a lot of fun.
What are some of the big changes or big adjustments you need to make going from ice to inline?
For me, not too many. Obviously, I've been doing it so long, going back and forth. I'd say the stopping and the skating for someone new transitioning, but the playing style, a little bit more checking open ice. Obviously, there's a lot of contact and roller, but it's mostly around the boards. 4-on-4 instead of 5-on-5, little things like that. But for me, like the little nuances, it's super easy to go back and forth. And we train here in Minnesota on the wheels and try to get kids to work on their hands, be creative. The puck drags a little bit more. So I think it's great for all ice hockey players to be dabbling into both, and really works on your skill set.
If you had a new player, and he would ask you, what do you think is easier, ice or inline?
I think it's just on what you start on, and if you're worried about falling and such, if you're wearing the right pads, you shouldn't be worried to fall on either. And I would say pushing and skating is a little bit easier on the ice, where you get that nice glide and you're carving into the ice. Where on roller, you really got to work to be moving.
You get
on
some
those wheels and
resistance with the
bearings.
wheels you don't get with the ice.
Exactly. And then whether you're playing outside on the concrete or on tile, obviously there's surfaces that are different and a little bit more scary. You might get a hill with some cars on it, or you might be on a beautiful marble rink where you're not as worried about, falling and getting run into in the road. So I think a lot of us just grow up, right, playing at tennis courts or in the driveway and things like that. So
Or back when Dave body doubled for Mike Myers in Wayne's World.
really,
Excellent.
Yeah, he didn't have any speaking lines. He was just the guy that had to run with the net on and off the street.
Yeah.
When the cars were coming.
But in all seriousness, I remember I hurt my knee doing something, and I couldn't do the rollerblading. It hurt too bad, but I could ice. I could referee on the ice, and it didn't hurt. And it was amazing that, I thought they both were kind of the same. But I was like, no, the ice, you had the glide. It was easier, but on the roller, you had the resistance of the wheels, and it really hurt. So I had to wait till I fully healed up to get back to rollerblading. But skating on the ice was not a problem.
Well, John, let's talk a little bit about the weekend. You guys came up, and right out the gate, whoever wrote the schedule, guys, gave you a piece right out the gate. You guys played the Sting, and what a game that was. Back and forth. I think it was like no score, Dave, until like 3 or 4 minutes to go in the first period, and then the fireworks went off in the second period, particularly in the last 3 or 4 minutes. The lead changed like 2 or 3 times, and then eventually the Sting, as they almost always seem to do, Max Halverson tied the game. Just before the end of regulation, they went to overtime, and the Sting found a way to win that one. So, what's it like coming into the league? I know a lot of these guys, but you haven't played together. And even a guy like, Tyler, who so well, you haven't played together in a while. When you're putting a new team together like this, what was it like kind of getting thrown into that fire?
Yeah, it's so interesting. I laughed. Obviously, you play the reigning champs and, buddies and close friends with everyone on the other team, but it is a battle. And I think every first game of any tournament or event like this, there takes an adjustment to how everyone's going to play. And I'm pretty sure they came out and had the puck for a while. Like, we didn't have the puck very much, but the game was excellent. I had a lot of people that tuned in and watched through Live Barn, and they were like, that was an awesome game. Like that was like a summer pro game. And there's so many different faces in the game too, but yeah, getting used to everyone, you kind of want that tough start to start the weekend. Everything feels easier after it, or, you just have to force that chemistry a little bit quicker. But yeah, back and forth game, goalie battle in the first. I think, obviously a lot more goals in the second half, and then some incredible chances in the third for us to win, incredible chances for us to win in overtime. And that's how roller hockey goes. You get your chances, you got to hit them. And if you miss them, it ends up going the other way. But yeah, they had a really nice play in overtime to take the victory, but it was definitely a war out there. I think, like you said, both games were overtime, so it was great playing against those guys, and obviously reigning champs. That's who you want to play in the beginning.
It looked like
Yes.
you scored with about a minute left to play to make it 7-5, and they scored 2 in the final minute to force that overtime. Boy, you know, it must have been incredible.
Yeah, it was happening really quick. They like drop the puck, we'd score. Drop the puck, they'd have it, they'd score. I don't even know if they pulled their goalie, but they scored again really quick. So yeah, it was super exciting. Like I said, the people that tuned in were like, "This was epic game to watch." I know Flinner was there, so I'm sure he felt the same.
Yeah,
way.
no, I mean, we were looking forward to this event. Like I said, I've said it 100 times, but what an incredible kickoff game it was. And the games, you know, they weren't as exciting. That would probably was the single most exciting game of the weekend. But you know, all the rest of the hockey was so good. I mean, they played to another overtime game at the last game of the day for both the Chaos and the Sting. But you know, overall, it was a tough first day. I think you guys went 1-2 on the day, which meaning the 2 being 2 overtime losses. So theoretically, 1-3 on the first day. You know, with the team you guys had assembled, had to feel kind of like a little bit of a letdown. But then you came back on Sunday pretty strong. Aside from a tough game against Michigan, who I already spoke highly of, Dave. You know, then you kind of ran the table the rest of the way, and you know, kind of ran the score up on some teams. Like you started to feel like you guys were starting to gel a little bit and kind of find what was missing on Saturday, on Sunday.
Yeah, just getting a feel for each other. For sure, that Saturday was tough, but I think we all rather have it tough that day to get built for the rest of the season. For sure, chemistry and lines, things like that. It definitely took a second. And then same with that, like we laid an egg in the morning there versus Michigan, early game, no excuse, even though we got finished late the night before. We didn't play good. And then boom, next couple games, you know, lights out and felt good. Chemistry was better, vibes were better. And that's all it takes to get used to some guys that you don't play with all the time, no practicing together, thrown right into the mix. I would say by the end of Sunday, we were all vibing high. And so that was a good way to finish the weekend. But like I said, there's no better way to start than have those tough games and go through those little hurdles and then build towards the end of the weekend where we finished on a high.
Well, let's take a quick look at the standings here and see where everything lines up now after that particular weekend. You'll see here on the East Coast, like I said, Michigan really strong through their first 12 games of the season. The Inferno, again, looked very strong this season. And then there you have, sitting in third place, the defending champions. You know, theoretically 6-4 on the season. You know, bunch of overtime wins and an overtime loss, and then kind of a little bit of a logjam down there for that last spot between the Maritza Sting, who did. You know, their biggest win of the weekend probably was against the Chaos there in the second game. They kind of took it to you guys pretty good, John. In a 6-2 game. The Gladiators and the Few having played the least amount of games because they didn't make the trip to Michigan. You know, they'll catch up later in the season, but that's where they stand, and that leaves you in the West Coast sitting at 4-2-2, which is, you know, seems kind of fair to me. Like, hey, we're sending you out there kind of with an even record. So you know, it'll be interesting to see when you guys head out that way. I believe you're headed there twice in January, if I'm not mistaken. I think January 11th and 12th, and then the 24th, 25th, and 26th of January as well. So that should be an interesting one. Well, John, when I got you here, before we dive into some more of this and we talk a little bit about that, one thing I wanted to do is I know you're fantastic with social media, and you were doing a lot of spreading, you know, of you know, the events that were happening. You know, I know you seemed like you got along pretty good with our photographer there. You were helping send some stuff out with him. But the one thing that we also did was we had Puck Pro Media back again, Dave, and they covered the event. And one of the things we did with them is we mic'd the player up for a game. And you know, so you know, I'll get your feedback when it's over here. But real quick, let's take a quick look at that. We mic'd up the Sting's Danny Healy for a game.
No, we're not live.
All right.
We're not going live. We're gonna edit. We're gonna edit it all together.
Is it hot?
You can make this good.
Is it hot? Am I hot? We stay here, boys. Let's fucking go, Keith. Whoop. Bar. You ready, Bubba?
Yeah.
Let's go out here, huh? What do you think, Coach?
Let's go.
Let's party. Let's go, brother. Wake up. Let's go. Now's the time. Quick flight. Awesome. Good rush, Bill. Good rush. 1-1, Bill. 1-1. You're going to catch him. You're going to catch him. Way to be, Keith. Oh, whoa. That's fine, boys. That's fine. We're down 2. We get it back.
Nice shot, Kaos.
That was going in. Oh, you had him. Hey, keep fucking firing, boys. We're better than this team. We're good to come back here. We're good to come back. Nice play, boys. Move for him, Jax. Move for him, Jax. Give him a shot. Wow. Jordan, great play on D, kid. Jordan, way to lay down there, kid. We need you to embrace us, brother. The boys are ready to do this comeback. We're good. Nice play, Teddy. They don't have that? No, that guy just fucking tomahawked me. He just scares me.
Really?
Yeah. Come on, Brett, you're turning everything.
Keep talking shit.
Here you go, action.
Get him the puck. Thank God you had a fuck up, then the guy had a fuck up for you to score.
Good work.
Good work, KJ. Goal.
Nice play. Way to be, K. All you. I like it. Good work, Uncle K. That's a great play, kid. Way to be patient, brother. Hey, way to bring that one home, boys. Down 2-0, come back with a big win. Way to go, Kaos.
So great work there by our friends from Puck Pro Media. Nice job by the Sting in that particular game. I'm highlighting the one game that Michigan lost, as I was trying to say what a great weekend they had. But for sure, some of the things we're trying to do this season, Dave and John,
it really
obviously.
gave you a feel that you were out there. You mean during the warm-ups and he's talking to his guys and he's, hey, I was just hacked, and he's yelling at this guy. Oh, never mind, nice play, It really does. It gave you the sense that you were on the bench with these guys. That was kind of fun.
And that was a great game
job
to watch. A great game to watch live as well. We were sitting there watching that whole game live, so that was a cool little highlight. I think they might need a cuss button there, but I love Danny. Grew up around him, and Kozlov, two really longtime friends. So
well, Dave's got lots
edit.
of money. He'll pay all those FCC fines, no problem.
They might pull those down. They might pull that down.
Anyway, John, I got another question for you here. You've been doing the roller hockey a long time. What are some of the biggest differences you've seen over your course of playing roller hockey?
So much. Whether it's the tournaments changing, streaming stuff, social media stuff. For me, that was always fun. Like I was doing that as a kid, where I'd follow my team and myself and try to share it on YouTube before Instagram, all that stuff. I think now it's just awesome stuff like that gets kids engaged to grow hockey and grow roller hockey, especially. It's definitely a niche market for us, but getting kids to see it and enjoy watching it and falling in love with roller hockey, how we all did growing up. There's so many things that have changed, but I think a lot in a good way. Hopefully it keeps growing better and better. There's other YouTubers out there like the Nasher, just got a rink in Ohio. Hopefully he has a PIHA team one day. I know there's just a lot of good growth right now. We're trying that at Minnesota as well. Florida's picking up as usual with Tyler down there, Vinny doing his thing. But yeah, so many things.
You ever run into Coach Bombay out there in Minnesota?
Say again?
You ever run into Coach Bombay?
No, I haven't. I'm waiting to see the Ducks. I want to skate in the Mall of America really badly.
How's his knee? Did that ever heal up? I know he got a knee injury out there a long time ago.
Well, I think you touch on something so important, John. This is why, Dave and I brought this back too, is, the league was talking about, maybe, we were starting to experience some growth, and we thought, hey, this is, we got to get some marketing. And I sat down at a table with the league president last year, and I said, we need to be our own marketing, and that's why I called Dave and said, hey, Dave, it's time. We always talked about it, let's get back. And, couple of years in a row, we would do a recap show of the finals, and Dave jumped in a little bit, as we were doing some broadcasts for the finals and stuff. But people like you out there, Etan Chavera, I was going to mention Nasher, the guys doing that sort of stuff, that goes viral. You know what I mean? And other kids see that and they want to be a part of that. And that's really what it is. I mean, I was on the phone with Mike Farinelli yesterday, and he told me that the buzz out in Michigan now, he said he's getting phone calls constantly like, hey, they want to play semi, they want to play minor, they want to be a part of this. So this is what you're doing, and I said the first person I ever saw really doing it in mass was Etan back in the day, and then obviously you were a little younger than him, but, then I know you're out there. Like you said, Nasher's great with it. And he's definitely one of the people that we have bullseyed for PIHA, in the not too distant future, like you bring up. But it really is. I mean, it's a grassroots game, right? No one's got big marketing budgets or anything like that. So it's awesome that people like you do what you do.
Yeah, no,
and have the following.
Yeah, it's something that I really enjoy. Like just growing the game and doing what I love and getting to share it. Like I hear all these donkeys chirping me, and whether it's ice hockey, roller hockey, whatever. But like I would post it for 2 kids to watch in Brazil or Colombia. We're going to run a camp where we're growing the game. So if someone's going to chirp me for posting a highlight or posting this or that, like,
well, John, don't worry about those donkeys. Don't worry about those donkeys. They lost last week anyway.
It's what I think is like, it's just growing the game from as best I could do, and all the connections and things like that. So I truly love it. I love getting to do the tricks and things like that too. Obviously people like seeing that, some really hate seeing it, but for me, it's like, hey, I can play, but I could also do these tricks, and I could also coach, and putting it out there to grow what we love the most is excellent. But like we said just as well, like that Puck Pro Media edit or the live barn, like those things are definitely growing, which is good.
Sure. And Puck Pro's got more to come. Puck Pro's got more to come. We already posted one of their highlights on the front page.
We got to see some of the Naples. Come on. Naples Chaos.
And what I was going to say is I now have in my possession, and I was going to save this for the end of the show, but I now have the full 8.5-minute edit highlight of the entire day on Saturday. And after the show, that's going to go live on the front page of the website and on the YouTube channel. So,
Very nice.
Before we let you go, let's talk a quick list. This now here is the PIHA Pro Division leading scorers. And you'll see that this really is an absolute who's who of roller hockey. So, I don't think there's a name, if you know roller hockey, on this list that you really don't know. So Haji, Schiavo, Novak, O'Shaughnessy, right there at the top of the list. I mean, this really is a who's who of roller hockey. So, John, great first weekend there for you, buddy. And we look forward to see what you guys do when you get out to Colorado.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, but also I'll tell you this, I remember talking to you at the rink, just saying how good the league looked at this jamboree, and all the other names that weren't at the event, obviously the Colorado side and Arizona side, I believe. So excited to see the rest of the league out west. That'll be really exciting, but I love seeing the growth of the league, love seeing roller hockey in a good place in the winter, and excited to be back.
Yeah, we'll be watching, and obviously, we've got our friends there over at Roller Planet. When you're out there, playing at Colorado Springs, we'll be able to watch there. We'll make sure to let everyone know how to watch when you guys are playing out there. So really appreciate the time you spent with us today, and, good luck, and, just keep going with the social media so we'll know when you're in France, when you're in Colorado, when you're in Minnesota, wherever you end up.
Will do. Thanks for having me, guys.
Take care.
All right, Dave, that's Johnny Schiavo.
Schiavo. I was calling him Schiavo for the longest time, and then seriously, it was a relative of his. I think called up to somebody at the rink and says, "Tell him it's Schiavo," and I was like, "Oh, I thought it was Schiavo." Somebody must. You know what happened? Somebody must have called him Schiavo, and I heard that, and maybe it was a joke that they called him that, and that just stuck in my head. And then finally, I got it corrected to Schiavo. I did one of his ice hockey games,
Really?
And he was up here in Massachusetts. Yeah, he's at one of the. I think it was one of the All-Star games or showcases for like the Metro or the AJ League or something like that. And he was out there on the ice, and I didn't get a chance to talk to him, but he was out there skating. Yep. So I did one of his ice hockey games a long time ago.
Crazy. Yeah, he gets around. So, but speaking of getting around, I mean, there's so much getting around in the league this year. I mean, we've talked to so many different people now already, even the Southeast and the crazy travel that they're doing, and the fact that the Sting went all the way out to Detroit. Detroit just came back here. The Florida team, basically, having to catch flights every time they play. John's going back and forth to France. But we have another scenario out west where we've got a couple teams really traveling just to get into Colorado to play these PIHA games. We've got the Arizona Outcasts coming up from Phoenix all the way up to Denver or Colorado Springs to play games. And then we have a team that used to play in the league that I'm taking full credit on for being back because I ran into this guy tours a year and a half ago. Probably not really the reason, but the Des Moines Leaf Ray back in the league after a couple of year hiatus, they back as well with a semi and a minor team, and they made the trip out to Colorado Springs this weekend along with the Arizona teams in the semi and the minor division. So the travel this year really is just so impressive. And here's another little fact. I told you I spoke with Mike Farinelli yesterday. I guess there's somebody that so wanted to play. They joined up. I don't know what team he's on, but somebody in that Detroit area is on a semi or a minor team that played this past weekend, and they went all the way from Detroit out to Colorado Springs to participate at that level. So, the commitment for PIHA this year is incredible, and I think this is the right time for us to bring on our next guest from the Des Moines Leaf Ray, Blaine Barker. Blaine, how are you, bud?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Thanks so much. I've been talking to Blaine for a couple of weeks about trying to get on. He's like busier than the Pope, but we finally got him on here. So
yeah,
you don't have a piano back there, do you? Okay,
No.
just checking. That's a.
We have a lot of piano players in this league.
That's a shot. So tell us, you're back in the league. As you recall, you and I met a year and a half or so down at Tours. When it wasn't underwater. But
we played 4 years in the league. 2017 till like 2021, something like that. We had 2 years that we had COVID issues in there. So yeah, but we were 4 years in the league. Our last 2 years we went 20-0 and 19-1 in the semi-pro division. And so it's after about a 3-year hiatus. Because it was 2 years off, and then I played with the Fire last year. So, but after 3 years off, we finally have Leaf Ray back. So it's good to be back in the league, definitely.
Great club to play with too. Joe does a great job over here. Hey, let me do you a quick favor and turn those lights on for you real quick.
Oh, nice. There you go.
See that?
Blaine, I do got to ask you, why is it Leaf Ray and not Leaf Rays? Was there a guy named Ray that started the team, or is this singular name of this team is driving me crazy because I want to call it Leaf Rays. I just do. And
I want to know where did the 7 go?
So yeah, it's just a big inside joke from back when there was actually 3
inner circle, Flynn. Another inner circle. Yep. We're gonna have to bust.
There was 5 of us that played with the Omaha Outlaws, and we kind of had a little inside joke thing going. And so when the Outlaws kind of left PIHA, we created Leaf Ray, and that's where I didn't win my vote on the name. We'll put it that way. So,
but I do like the colors.
Yeah, I love the colors. Yep.
Yeah, the
colors
I love
are great. We do home and away pants. Our home pants are white, and then our away pants are black. They match our jerseys. So yeah.
That's great. We'll have to, and that's where the 7 was from. There was 7 of you. Is that where the Leaf Race 7 came from?
A little bit, yeah. Yep, yeah. It was part of the inside joke there. Yep.
Well, the more information we get on these inner circles, the better, I think.
Yeah, we need to crack some of these inner circles. We need to, get dressed up and put on a mustache and glasses and sneak into these inner circles and find out what's going on.
For sure. So, you guys made your first travel weekend out to Colorado Springs this weekend. Tell us about the trip and how your teams did.
Yeah. So we had 2 teams this year. We have a minors team and a semi-pro team. Our minors team started off a little weak. They lost their first set, got swept by Pikes Peak Thunder. And then Saturday we went 4-0. So we started to gain some traction there Saturday. We swept the Monument Thunder, and then the Golden Fire, which I don't know. It was the talk out in Colorado after the Golden Fire game, but we had a huge comeback. We were down 5-0 at half and scored 7 unanswered to win 7-5.
Wow.
So that was huge. We had a goalie change, and Matt Lynch came in and shut him out and did such a great job. And then the guys rallied behind it. So, and then Sunday, those long weekends, that fatigue kind of got us a little bit, but we split with the Falcon Vikings. So yeah, it was a good weekend. They did better than I expected. So I'm impressed with the minors team anyway.
You think it was natural after coming back with those 7 goals to win the game? They had a little bit of a letdown, maybe.
Yeah. Yep.
Good deal. So when are you guys back at it again?
We're not back out there till December 7th and 8th. Yeah. And then I think we get to be out there when Schiavo's out there in January. I don't know if he's out there on the 18th and 19th or not, but that's when we're back out there again.
No, I think he's out there the weekend. He's bookending you there. I think he's there the 11th.
Before and after.
Yeah, it's only so much rink time CJ has there at the arena. Now, were any of your you were missing anybody, anything like that?
We were. So our minors team was missing 2 guys, and they'll be key guys all season. So they'll help. But we did have, having both teams out there at the same time, we had the opportunity to move a couple semi-pro guys down to just kind of help out. Our minors team normally has 10, so they had 8, and then we had like 1 or 2 of the minor guys that would help out every game. But we don't have a single player that's played PIHA on that minors team, so everybody is a rookie. It was definitely interesting to see all of them do that.
Well, and that's the case for most of that division. We kind of started out here on the East Coast, the minor division, and I know that very first year they didn't have anything. We kind of crowned an East Coast only champion, and then the second year they had 3 teams. And last year it was a little stronger, and this year it just blew up out there. So it's awesome. I think you can always keep building down, right? Because there's it's easier to find guys who aren't able to play pro but want to play pro and have some skill. So it's great to see because it just really builds the league. It builds the anticipation for the weekends, and it obviously it helps the league. With more. League dollars coming in, it helps the league do more for the league, like what we're doing here now. Things like this. We could do way more of this sort of stuff, and really kind of promote the league and watch it build and grow. So,
yeah. And the league changed a lot from my first year back in 2012. I mean, there's guys I played with and against back then at even at pro level that are now playing in the minors. So it's, as we all get older, we move down. So
father time doesn't discriminate, Blaine.
Yes.
Blaine, what was some of the
haircut though, plenty.
What are you guys doing to me? I don't know. Blaine, what are some of the adjustments that some of the guys had to make that never played the PIHA before?
It's just kind of the physicality and the way that people can go into the boards and get roughed up a little bit, and the refs see it as 2-way and they let it play, which I like. If I give you a little bump, you give me a little bump back, that's perfectly fine. And the PIHA refs tend to let that play. That's the biggest thing for the guys that are coming out that have never played it before to understand is that they can do that bump, and once you get bumped back, just leave it. The refs aren't going to call it. Where when they go play in some of those other tournaments and stuff like that, the refs will just blow it dead and take you both. Well, why kill the play? I like that it's not, nobody's getting hurt. It's not something that's crazy. So that was really something that those guys, it took them a little bit to understand that. So they would rub a guy out and get something a little back, and then they were like, whoa, what's going on? So as they're coming to the bench, the coaches, and the other thing is the coaching. Like we carry 2 goalies, we carry a coach. When you go to tournaments and stuff like that, and an adult level, you don't have 2 goalies, you don't have 2 coaches, you don't even have 10 guys. You've got like 6 or 7 guys because everybody wants playing time. Well, in PIHA, it's not that way. So
yeah, you show up at a PIHA event where you're playing 4-6 games on a weekend, like you're doing 8 games in a weekend with 7 guys and 1 goalie. You're going to be absolutely exhausted. So for sure, I think that's the case with most teams, especially, out there, those teams, they're still kind of doing the traditional 2-2, obviously you guys are kind of playing more of the East Coast model for the travel purposes. But out here on the East Coast, you show up at an event with 1 goalie, I look at a team that's going to definitely lose their last game. So most of the time. So tell us, you did run into the Arizona team this weekend, correct?
Yeah, so our semi-pro team did. Our semi-pro team they did pretty solid. A little less than I expected. I expected them to do a little better, having 5 returners from the previous seasons. But yeah, Friday night we swept Black Forest, and then Saturday morning we split with Littleton, and then Saturday night is when we got to Arizona, and the guys were definitely fatigued, and it showed. Our first game was at 10 a.m. that morning against Littleton, but then we didn't play again until 10 p.m. that night against the Coyotes. I apologize, Arizona. And the boys were definitely not ready for that. So that's a good team. They will definitely be tough. I'm glad that they're in the Western Conference, but that they're in a different division, because I think we are in the East. No, we're, I think, in the North, and they're in the South, the Rocky Mountain North and the Rocky Mountain South. So I'm glad they're in the other one, and then maybe we still have a chance at winning our division. So there'll be a tough competition all year. I just looked at my schedule before this, and I didn't realize we don't play them again the rest of the season. So we don't even get to have our redemption until championships.
Well, there you go. You heard that prediction here now, Dave. I have to write that down.
Throwing down the gauntlet. There we go.
For sure. Well, I mean, I'm sure the teams out here on the East Coast are really happy to see the competition really stepping up in both of those divisions. It's been the one, we've had some really good finals, at the pro division, and we've been waiting and waiting. I really think we're going to see a big jump from a lot of at the finals with the inclusion of our Southeast division. I think very highly of the teams down there in the Southeast for their competition level. It was great to see you guys back in the division. Great to see Arizona come in. It's only going to make the level of play for everybody better. So, glad you guys are back, and I really do hope that me popping in that locker room down in helped out the cause, because in my brain that's why you guys are back.
Yeah. We run into CJ and his dad quite a bit, and they're always hounding me about coming back. We always wanted to come back. We tried last year. I couldn't get enough guys, so the guys that I did get, we went and played for Joe in the Fire. So, and that kind of sparked it. People saw us playing, and they're like, I want in. And I'm like, there it is. We're building a team for next year. So we announced, I think, in December of last year that we were coming back this year. So
now, how far are you guys from Detroit or Chicago?
So Detroit is 10 hours. So I'm actually east of Des Moines. So I'm an hour closer than all the Des Moines guys. But Detroit is about 10 hours. Chicago is about 5 hours. We actually have guys from Detroit. We have guys from Chicago. We have guys from Connecticut. We have a guy from Miami, from Missouri, from Kansas. We are really from all over. So only 11 of my 23 guys are actually from Iowa.
Right. And how about Chicago?
We have 3 guys from Chicago, and we're about 5 hours from there.
About 5. Well, and then listen, the reason I'm asking is because we are, and I can't make promises for next year, but we are certainly in talks with a lot of people in the Midwest now that Michigan has jumped in. And it's just curious, where you guys are, in terms of, maybe like, much like the Kaos, played a few games here, played a few games there, and when you're traveling, like, for example, a team like for us on the East Coast right now, the Inferno, they've been a staple in PIHA since, the mid 2000s. But now, they are, for the last so many years, they have been, on the far western side for us. But now that Michigan's there, they were able to kind of go in a different direction. And it kind of really excited them that, hey, we don't have to keep going east on the PA Turnpike. Now we have someplace else to go. And my thought was, boy, if something were to pop up in Chicago or Detroit, at that minor semi level, are we starting to kind of connect dots, where, so that's it's not going to happen overnight. We're certainly targeting areas, trying to build there, move on to the next place. So we're doing it right. Like we don't want to try to take on the entire country at one point. We're certainly targeting areas, trying to build them, make sure they got good leadership. But as we start to really look at the possible explosion in that Midwest area, where you guys might end up, might be really cool.
Yep. Yeah, Pittsburgh is about the same distance to us as Colorado Springs is. So, and then Detroit's about 2 hours closer. So we go to tournaments in Pittsburgh, Detroit, Indy, Fort Wayne, Cincinnati, and Columbus. We were just in Columbus 3 weeks ago, something like that, at Nash's new rink. So yeah.
Yeah, and he's obviously somebody that we'd like to sit down and talk to. I mean, I know they're involved in MIHA, but at the same time, we think we're a different market than MIHA. They're doing something a little different, but they're doing something a little different, a little lower level than where we are. So, we'll see what comes of it. But yeah, awesome. It's just great to see the commitment. Like I was saying before we brought you in, the commitment from teams this season, is just so real. And I really hope to see a lot of these faces at the finals, because when you make those kind of commitments, it's worth trying to be there at the end when you're handing out the prize. But we appreciate you guys, thank you so much, and we wish you the best of luck on the season, and give our best to all your players, and we'll keep an eye on things when you head back to Colorado Springs again.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks.
You got anything else for Blaine? Do you guys have a rink there?
So we do. Leaf Ray does not practice there. It's tough to get rink time because it's a skating rink, and they blew up during COVID as far as getting people to come to their open skates and renting it, schools renting it out for parties and stuff. So our adult team does not see the rink much. Our youth team pretty much gets to take over. The Des Moines Explosion youth team takes over any of that free rink time there. So yeah, we don't see the rink much. Nope.
So this is a roller rink, like a wood floor roller rink?
All right. Oh, wow.
It was a concrete floor that had like a
roll
clear
on
coat on the concrete. They they actually bought Sport Court from you and put it down.
Oh, is that where that went? Okay.
Yep.
So they have ice court. They have ice court.
Yes,
okay.
It is. Yep. Ice court.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So they put that down.
So you have connected
I think,
dots,
a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, about 2 years ago, because that's when we put down. That's when we put down our still mat here. Yep. Which is I can't speak more highly about. If you're watching the show and you're looking for a floor, contact Timmy McManus. Everybody that puts it in just absolutely loves it. You heard John talking about how awesome it was skating on the new floor out there in France with the still mat. It really is great. I do hear rumors, and they are just rumors at this point, but it sounds like Skate Safe's about to put new floors down there. Somebody told me it's been ordered, so that would be huge for PIHA here in the Northeast. So, but awesome. Well, it's maybe one day you guys host some PIHA games out there. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, Dave, it was great to finally get you on the podcast after a couple of weeks. We were trying, but best of luck to you guys, and I guess we'll keep an eye out on the Leaf Ray.
Yeah,
and see how you guys do this year. All right.
And we need to get inside that inner circle, Flynn.
Another inner circle.
Another inner circle.
All right, Blaine. Thanks so much. Good luck to you guys.
Thanks, Blaine.
Thanks, guys.
So yeah, inner circles everywhere, Dave.
It seems like every team has an inner circle. It's almost like it's a challenge. I need to put on like the Nicolas Cage glasses with the yellow and the red and flip them around and look around and see the clues,
Maybe I'll call my buddy Stallone and see if he can hop over from Tulsa.
Yeah. So what else we got coming up here, Flynn, here?
Well, I just want to do a quick thank you and shout out to Suffix Photography. So if you're in the Northeast area and you're looking for somebody, he doesn't just do sports pictures. You can reach out to him, and this is how you can reach him. SuffixPhoto.com, Suffix Photography LLC on Facebook, and at Suffix Photo on Instagram. And then the same thing to our friends over at Puck Pro Media. We still have some stuff coming out from that event. It trickles out. Your video editing a little tougher than the photo editing. But as promised, after today's show, right on the front page and on our YouTube channel, I'm going to post the big, almost 10-minute long highlight reel of the pro event from Marple. And we will see them at least one more time this season for some more semi and minor action. But this is how you can reach them. I'm not going to read them all, but Puck Pro Media certainly, they do such an amazing job. So I just wanted to thank them again for coming out. And that's all the recaps we have, Dave. Let me talk a little bit about what we've got coming up.
Yeah, so what do we got coming up this weekend?
This weekend, we just here on the East Coast, it's we've got two minor events. One at Rapid Fire and one at the Great American Center. So all those minor teams are back up in action. I expect the Instagram to start flying a little bit more there, especially with the Stash and the Legends and the Impact. Those guys will probably start chirping again. So they've been off for a couple weeks. So we look forward to that. Maybe we have to dive back in next time on some of the social media stuff.
Yeah, that was fun. We'll have to get back to that next week.
Yeah, so next week I expect to have a show. I'm going to be in Florida. I'm actually leaving for Florida. Actually, as this airs, I should be traveling. So a little production secret. This is a taped show that we did yesterday for people watching.
We should be good. I'm hoping next Wednesday we should be good, but we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find a spot. We'll get there. I may have to do it a little later next week. I've got a very busy work and golf schedule. when I'm in Florida. So, but
Yeah.
well, I should have said golf and work schedule.
Mm.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's just, things are really popped off. We are in the thick of things now with the PIHA season.
Yep.
And it was great. Blaine and John, thanks so much for jumping on with us, and everybody who watches us, loyally every week. We really do appreciate you. And listen, if you want to be part of the show, you reach out to us. A lot of people know how to reach me. A Flynn at thepiha.com. That's the easiest way to do it. You can hit one of us on Instagram. I'm at PIHA Flinner. We've got our Ratcast information here. Actually, I can throw that up in this other thing. You can hit us ratcastradio@gmail.com. That comes to both Dave and I. We've got the Ratcast Network on Facebook. So if you're looking to get involved with us, you hit us up that way. Otherwise, we'll find people to talk to. I rarely get a no. So
Yeah, it's fun. It's great. It is great talking to people. When you talk to people from all over the place too.
I'm trying to bounce
Players,
everywhere.
coaches, everything. We've talked to a lot of people so far this year, and we hope that continues.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain guys I know I could call in, like our Tom Brokaw's, that would fill in a heartbeat, I'm sure. But I'm really trying to bounce around so we can get an understanding of everybody in the league.
I think we even had a referee on one time, didn't we?
Well, yeah, we've had a referee.
We were light guests that week, so you got to go with what you got. But yeah.
For sure. So, but yeah, that's
if you play piano, even better. We need a lot more piano players on here because everyone's got a grand piano in their living room.
It's amazing.
This week, no piano players.
No piano.
players.
Well, Dave, another show in the books. The Ocho is in the books.
Yeah, 8 shows down already. Holy cow, time is flying.
Yeah, I'm sorry that we were off last week. I hope to be there. I'm taking the mixer with me to Florida, so maybe we'll do the show with a palm tree in the background.
Oh, nice.
So, all right. Well, until next week.
Yeah, that's episode 8 of the Ratcast, the 2024-25 season. I'm Dave Gardner alongside Anthony Flynn. Thanks to all of our guests that joined us today, and we hope to catch you guys next week on the Ratcast.
This is it, the moment the country has been waiting for. A day when American citizens have the opportunity to cast their vote for leaders who will represent them in government. It's a momentous day in American history, and the results will have a lasting impact on the nation. It's called Election Day.
Here with Mike Farinelli of the Fury and Will Fredo from the Chaos. Guys, it's election week. Who'd you guys vote for?
Dave Gardner.
You heard it here.
Hello.
Dave Gardner.
Dave Gardner.
I'm not doing it. No.
Dave Gardner.
Dave Gardner.
Definitely voting for Dave Gardner this year.
Now tell me who you're voting for. Dave Gardner?
Yeah.
I'm voting for Dougie Course.